day one, I pretty much talked about mindset shift. I gave you 3 tools that you could use to adjust, right? In terms of how you see yourself, how you see other people, how you see the world would determine what value you can unlock for yourself. And then yesterday, I talked about, our success, no matter who you are, the success that we all want to achieve would rely on how we can build relationships and how we can grow relationships. And today, I want to talk about leverage, your messaging, in terms of your platforms, in terms of your reach, in terms of your influence. How do you manage and control that? Okay. So if you're online joining me, please do say hello. I usually want to know who is out there. And I want to make sure you can hear me clearly. I've been playing around with the sound a lot. I've been moving things around. So hopefully this is better. I'll keep tweaking it every day. I move the mic closer to me so that you can hear me clearly. So today we want to talk about leverage, commercial leverage, whether it's professional or even as a business owner. How do you build solutions and products, or even for yourself, how do you become someone that you're creating value that other people need? Because that value is what determines what people are ready to pay you for, right? A lot of times people say, I want to be promoted. We all aspire, but the key is what I'm going to share today. How do you get more, whether as a business owner or even on your job? Okay, so I see Mieza. Good morning, Mieza. You've been the faithful one. I really appreciate to see another familiar name. Okay, you've been here from day 1, day 2. This is day 3. And I want to talk about leverage, right? How do you win? You cannot command the marketplace because it's all about the law of demand and supply. You have to make sure you're supplying things people are demanding. And you have to make sure your skills is aligned to what's currently being in demand, because that's what's going to determine commercially what you can command. So when it came to corporate life, I'll share examples because that's something I felt I mastered before I left. And now as an entrepreneur, I'm learning really, really fast. But it's kind of similar, but different. Similar, but different, right? So I'll share with you what I learned in corporate, what helped me to be successful, to advance. Maybe even mistakes. I don't know if I'll talk about mistakes, but anyway. And then as an entrepreneur, what I'm learning really fast and what I'm coaching and guiding people on as well. Are you ready? Ready, set, go. Okay. Here's the deal. From a professional standpoint, it's never about you as a person. It's always about what you can deliver on. Your skills. So think about your degree. Say something that you can do. It's a promise to deliver. That's why employers hire you. Your degree is a promise to deliver. Your training is a promise to deliver X amount of skills. Now, there are soft skills, and then there are real, right, hardcore professional skills. Like if you want to become a doctor, no matter how much soft skill you have, like no matter how nice you are, can you deliver? Do you know enough? Right? You want to be a surgeon. No matter how nice you are, no matter how much soft skills you have, can you perform? That's the same. I want you to think about it on your job as well. Soft skills is absolutely plus. But at your core, your employer is paying you to deliver certain things. Figure that out. And also, if you want to move up, if you want to advance, if you have goals to move up, you have to begin to understand what's your leverage. Like, what do they need at that level? What type of, how does that role need to function? And then what skills do you need to acquire? Now, I want to make sure this is not just theoretical. So I'll give an example. So for me, when I was in corporate, as an immigrant, years ago, this is more than 15 years ago, what I'm about to share. As an immigrant, I try to tell people everything's about strategy and execution, really, at different levels, right? You want to guarantee your strategic position in terms of corporate. And there are rules of the game, particularly if you're an immigrant. There, you know what's those status things, what type of job, all of those things. And part of the rule at that time was for you to get a job. And I think the rule still applies, H1, all of those things, right? You have to, the employer has to show the US government that you're the best of the best, that job, after interviewing people, a sea of people, you came out on top, and they didn't find, I believe, indigene that could do that job at your level. So in order for you already know you're competing, right? That's the immigrant story. You already know you're competing in a sea of people. So for you to compete and negotiate, you can't be average. You can't afford to be average. Immigrants can, okay. I told you all, this version of TOEIC is fierce. The version I used to show you was, here's my work, here's what I'm working on, this is nice TOEIC, this is approachable TOEIC. This version of TOEIC that I feel I need to share is because a lot of people are struggling, and I'm deciding at least over the next 10 days, guaranteed this version will show up. You are competing with the rest of the world. And in a competition, for you to come out on top, you have to have leverage. And for me, part of the leverage was, okay, I came for my graduate program, master's. Okay, but here's what's also happening. Everybody else has a master's degree. Okay, so what's your leverage? I had a certification that I pursued, SAP certification, even out of grad school. I had to pay. I remember back then, $1,500, that's $1,500. This is 15 years ago. As a student, as an immigrant student in grad school, I was like, when I show up out there, I have to be the best. So it's not just enough to have a master's. I needed the certification to set me, right above. And I put that thing on a card. It's why when you talk about master's degree, BSc, if you don't need it, then don't get it. But if you want to play in the top league, you have to be ready to pay the price. So back then, I got the certification because getting it as a student out of Central Michigan University, it was going to be $1,500. If after graduation I wanted that, it was going to be $5,500, like $5,500 to pay for the same certification. I was like, okay, I'm going to leverage this opportunity as I'm graduating to get that. And guess what? I did. I got the certification, SAP certification. And what happened? I had 3 offers on the table. I had to pick. It was now my decision. I had 3 amazing companies vying for me. That's what I want. I don't I like to have leverage. I like to make decisions. I like to control my own destiny. And this is how. So I had 3 offers. In fact, I remember back then, it became an issue in my relation. I was dating my husband back then. We've been married now 15 years. So that's why I said what I'm sharing is, this year is our 15th year. So this is before we married. We were dating at that time. And these 3 jobs were going to say, Tori, you go here. Like it was one of those key decisions, like because of location, we had to move. But I had a pick. Because I had leverage. Not only that, after I made my pick, which was Whirlpool Corporation, KitchenAid, Maytag, I spent almost 7 years with them. Not only did I do that, I was Oliver Twist. I asked for more. So even after the offer came, I remember my brother was like, you need to ask for more. Why not? They want you and you have leverage. If they say no, you can still pick the others, right? So I asked for more. I negotiated. I didn't take the first offer. I negotiated. So when I went into corporate, I got maybe more than, I can't remember, 20,000 or I don't know. I don't know exactly. I can't remember, but above my peers, right? Going into corporate, my leg in allowed me to leverage up because I negotiated, because I had all those certifications. Why? It's not because TOEIC, it's not about TOEIC. It's because of the capacity and the skill set I was bringing to the table. I said pretty much with HR, like HR, I've trained myself. The day I show up on your job, you can be assured I'm ready to perform. Configuration, check. ABAP programming, check. These are skills that if you were going to take me out there as an employee to train me, you're going to pay a lot of money. I already invested that in myself. So please add it to my sign on. Please add it to my base pay. Pay me back for the investment I made in myself. And they did. I'm telling you. So I have stories, right? This was again 15 years ago. So as a business owner, fast forward to today, the things I'm working on looks different. I'm trying to crack some code as well in terms of business development and all of this. And that's why I teach, I coach, I guide other people, because it's a different rule. It's a different rule. So what do you think about that? In terms of leverage, what do you have currently that your employer, if you're professionally employed, you're an executive or you're a director, or whoever you are right now, the reason you're sitting on that seat is because you're being paid to deliver results. Like, this is Toyin. Like, Toyin says it as it is. You're there to deliver a result. And the commercial value of the results you're delivering is what you have as leverage to negotiate for more. So when you say, I want the promotion, you're trying to communicate that I can do more. I can take on more responsibility. And I mean, it's not an exact science, but I'm just trying to give you a framework that you can use to negotiate properly, knowing that your leadership needs you to say certain things, and which is why I want to talk about messaging, your messaging and the message. Okay, so I'm shifting from that a little bit to the next thing I want to talk about. Yesterday, we talked about your stakeholders. Yes, Mr. Peter said leverage. Yes, life is about, like, here's the truth. Like, again, this version of Toyin, I have to keep warning people, like, this version of Toyin shoots straight. If you don't have commercial leverage, people will bypass you. They don't have to work with you, particularly because at the end of the day, it's what determines charity versus commerce, right? Are you asking people, help me up? Which is, I mean, there's space for that, right? We all need to give back. But is that the position you want to be commercially? No business exists like that way commercially, right? It's the same thing in corporate or professionally. The reason you're sitting at that desk, you can be rest assured, is because you promised to deliver some result. So show up and deliver those results. Like, that's me. Like, that's my commitment. When anybody hires me, and that's why I have a lot of testimonials, show up, go over and beyond. These things, like, if you can go, and your reputation follows you, right? Your reputation follows you. The reason I can do what I'm doing and say what I'm saying is you can go call people I've worked with. I show up, I bring value, and that's it. Enough that I try to make my supervisor happy. I remember one of my leaders back then used to call me, Toyin is my secret weapon. That's what he used to call me. Like, Toyin, I was like, yeah, because I have an unassuming, like, when I'm coming, you don't know what to think of me. You can't, I'm like this non-threatening person. So you're like, and then when I show up, so I'm the one they send into those rooms. I'll be like, Toyin is so nice. I'm like, yeah, keep thinking that. I need you to see me that way. Right? So I used to say Toyin is my secret weapon. So the most challenging project, multi-year project, I'll take it on, and we blast through. Like, that's what I used to do, like, break down barriers. That project is going live. That project, we're going to kick it to the finish line. Nothing will stand in the way. Nothing. I'll go up, down, across the chain. Like, any approval I need, I'm getting it. Like, that's me. And it's the same thing, I do with my company now. Like, that ambassador, we need you to come to. That's just it, right? That's just it. Is that breaking down barriers, execution focused, mission driven, if you bring that to your job, results oriented. So I see Bamitsuni saying absolutely correct. Great advice to students and even executives, right? Entrepreneurs. Get your certification as a student. Particularly if you're an immigrant, you have to just know what game, what competition you're in. Life is fierce. Because you get this, yeah, depending on the school. Okay, so I'm responding to Bamitsuni. Depending on the school, depending on where you are. Because for me, I had great relationship with my faculty, with the students, with the career services. I used to work at the graduate office. This is more than 15 years ago. So if this is relevant to you and you're very, very early in your career, I just shared that for you. Now, fast forward, if you're an executive, you've advanced and you want to go to the next level, it's still the same. It's leverage, particularly now, your ability to calm the storm, right? Digital disruption, your ability to have clear messaging, understanding your stakeholders, right? Leading up, leading down, leading across, leading beyond, like I shared yesterday, becomes more important. The other thing as a leader that you have to take responsibility on is not just that we are responsible for our message, but we are also responsible for the delivery of our message. I learned that several years ago. So it's not enough to mean well. You can be misunderstood if you don't manage the delivery of your message. Also in business, when I help people do their value proposition, we actually I help them map their value proposition to their customer profiles, because the customer profile has to do with aspirations and eliminating pain points, helping people achieve, their aspirations, and then helping them eliminate their pain point. This is what I help people to do when you're building a business or you're trying to scale up or transform your business. So reach out if you need help in fine-tuning what that looks like, because tomorrow that builds on what I'm going to share tomorrow, which is more of your business model. How are you showing up, your platforms, and all of those things, right? That's what I'll cover tomorrow. But for today, your message and the vehicle through which you're delivering that message. It's like you have a gift, but you're responsible for the wrapping, right? Sometimes we have this mindset of, oh, just worry about the gift, just worry about my message. But no, we have to wrap it up. We have to deliver it in the right way. And this goes back to a question someone asked me, was it last week? I was in a room and there was a question around, when do you use your executive voice and when do you use a leadership voice? And what I explained was, if you're in a room and you're in the room with your peers or your superior, you want to leverage your executive voice. And if you're in a room with your team and the people who report to you, you can use your leadership voice. Here's why. You find yourself going into rooms, like if you're on a board, like those people they don't have to do anything for you. They don't have to move for you. So the only way to lead or influence those conversations in the boardroom or in an executive way is to command the room because of what you know and what they need that you can deliver for them, right? So when I host, so I run multiple platforms. So I do B2C, B2B, B2G. So this applies in different ways. So if I'm engaging with an ambassador, I'm engaging with a CEO, I'm engaging with an investor, you better know I'm engaging as an executive, as a peer, or as someone who can deliver value for them. I'm not their leader. They don't answer to me, right? I'm not their leader, but I can present my message in a way where I can design something that is of mutual benefit. Like, we share common goals. We are all moving in the same direction. And I have a proposition that if we do A, B, C, D, you're going to win and I'm going to win, right? This is also what I do when I work with brands, because brands are basically given me like I feel a sense of responsibility for the brand. Like I have to build a platform worthy of that brand being associated with, right? So I'm not just responsible for my message, I'm responsible for the delivery, and I'm also responsible for the platforms, right? And the platforms and the message has to be designed in such a way that brands, big mega brands, can look at the work that I'm doing and sense that it is aligned with who they are. And for me, it's a privilege. I consider it a privilege. I consider it an honor. Why? Because they don't have to. Nobody has to do anything for me. Nobody. And that's something that is humbling that most people don't know. A lot of times I see people, this, yes, yes. I'm like, the world doesn't run that way. But if it works for you, by all means, please move on. But what I've found is that, it requires a different type of work and strategic mindset to understand how executives think, where how global leaders think, how global shapers think, understanding their goals, understanding what they're trying to achieve with their brands, and saying, I've built something here that can help you accelerate and achieve your goals. This is the value that not just Toyin, but Toyin's platform brings. That's what I do when I engage at that level. The same is true across board. When I'm selling my lipstick, you see, Toyin shows up in different ways. Nobody has to buy. But when I tell you it changes color, it moisturizes your lips, it's made out of shea butter coming out of Africa. You see, I'm using a different tone. You see, I'm like, yeah, it makes you look good, it makes you feel good. It's long lasting. It's, who's got time to be applying lipstick 3 times a day? You see, my message is changing, my tone is changing. Yeah, check it out. Omoba Beauty, made out of shea butter for someone like you. You see, Toy, the message is different, right? That's it. It's you just have to be aware. Life is not about us. Like, it's not about me. That's something I learned. It's about you. It's about what we can do for you. So along that line, and I'm looking at time now, time runs so fast, but along that line, when I consider the different things I do on my work, each of my platforms carry a different message. And that's why also I recognize that this dimension in which I'm showing up also carries a different message, and which I shared yesterday is transformation. Like Toyin, this version of Toyin, I'm not telling you, I'm not talking about other platforms. I'm talking about Toyin's voice, who she is, how she sees things. What Toyin can do for you is bring about transformation and help you level up and help you achieve your goals. Like, give you the strategies, the tools, and resources you need to achieve your goals. So that's what this Toyin is selling in a way, right? So that's what this Toyin is selling. Like, and you also need to be aware that as humans, we're constantly supposed to be growing. So the message I was delivering to my employer 15 years ago, SAP, like, I'm the best of the best, pay, that's then. 10 years ago of management and project PMO support and strategic planning, that was then. Even last year, the message I was delivering last year is different because I'm growing, I'm different. And a lot of times people don't listen enough to their heart to listen to say, maybe you've outgrown your current job. Because this is what happens when people stay in the same spot professionally 5-10 years, is because they are not fully aware of how their environment has changed. They may not know how they have changed, where they want something different. They want to level up, right? And they're not sure how to package all of that, right? So how do you retool and refine your messaging and reintroduce it to your audience, right? It's a science. because that's something I constantly do. I have to do it because as I'm growing, as I'm shaping, as I'm doing more, my commercial value is also going up. I'm asking for more. I'm Oliver Twist. So whatever you 2, 3, 4 years ago, whatever commercially you would have paid me to secure my time, you can bet that has doubled. Because I know more now. I can deliver greater value for you. I know more people now. I know who is okay. This is so funny. Like, okay, this is how I talk to myself. Because it's what governs valuation. How do you price your services? How do you price your products? How do you command value in the marketplace? This is it. At the end of the day, you must possess what people want or need, right? And for me, investing the last couple of years, I've been building platform for different things. And now that work is complete, I'm like, okay, because I have first mover advantage on several things. I'm like, okay, right now, there's a need for towing because people have seen the outcomes of towing's work, but people don't know towing, right? And that's what's different with this 10-day challenge. Okay, so Mr. Peter, you said time to change. You've been, something has been tugging on your heart to change. Yes. And that change, what also happens is that sometimes it's better to disrupt yourself than to be disrupted outside, because eventually disruption will come. Okay, eventually. So let's say if you're in corporate and you keep doing the same thing year 1, year 2, year 5, year 10, guess what? Now, this may be fair, it may not be fair. Some employers also need new perspective. They want to grow their business. They don't want to stay flat. So they are constantly looking at the talent. What talents? I used to sit on a board of a university, the university department, and we used to advise that university, like, constantly, that the department has to keep on changing. Like, are we training the students? The skills we're giving the students, would it help them to be competitive in the marketplace? What is the marketplace asking for? How do we shift our curriculum? Like, constant shifts, constant changing. You can be guaranteed that your employer too is doing the same. They are looking at the talent pool, they're looking at the future, and they're saying, do we have the talent we need to be relevant in the marketplace? And as they are making that shift, you need to be aware and be part of that conversation. At least that's what I used to do. I don't know if you're doing it. Like, I had even relationship with the head of executive training. So I knew what they were doing, right? He was my mentor. And I'll be engaging with him like, what are you telling those executives? like, I need to, what skills do you look for? Military training. They used to deliver military training in terms of the fierceness of execution, particularly in retail. But that's another topic, right? Fierceness in execution, like retail is down to execution. So that's another space. So let me just stay on point today as I'm starting to wrap up. Leverage, right? You have to have something that commercially, it's the law of demand and supply, that is in demand or will be in greater demand in the future, whether you're a business, and that's what led to, for example, luxury company that used to provide perfumes, all of a sudden they are producing hand sanitizer. It's because if people are not buying perfume and you have the same facility and they're buying hand sanitizers, you better humble yourself and shift and pivot, right? Because the world is shifting. So I'm going to wrap up there for today. Okay? Let me know what you think. This version of towing, like I said, it's different. And I usually reserve it for private transformation sessions, because a lot of times, what I found is that we could be the ones, I don't want you to be the one standing in the way of your success. Whether it's mindset, whether it's belief system, whether it's lack of strategy, whether it's lack of execution. Those are all things we need to confront, challenge ourselves, and shift ourselves and launch ourselves forward. So thank you so much. Tomorrow I'll be talking about your business model. There's a whole lot more I could deliver here, but I only gave myself 30 minutes. And this is what I committed to myself. And that's what I said to myself. And, that's the only reason I could go this stretch of 10 days. It's a lot. But because I told myself no more than 30 minutes, you're going to do this story, go out there, show up. You never know who you're going to impact. And hopefully it's of help. Yeah, Mr. Peter says, how can you contact me? Packages coaching. Yeah. So toyinumesiri.com has some, generic packaging. But if you reach out to me, my email, I hope I have the email here. But if not, info@toyinumesiri.com. Please send an email and we can work out something that is customized for you. Because here's what I've realized is that each of us, we are at different stages of our journey. And this is a transformation journey. And what I liken it to is that the future version of you has not even met who you are today. It's like the caterpillar and butterfly. Imagine if they had a meeting, what they will be talking about. The future version of you needs to operate at a unique level. How do you fill in the gap? How do you go from where you are today to where you need to be? And it's what I had to do. So when I left corporate, I had a vision. There's an internal GPS that is drawing us and painting the picture of, Toyin, you can do this. Toyin, you can operate at this level, right? You all have that. If you're honest, if you're listening, there's something inside of you that's saying, it paints a picture of your ideal self, your future self. You see yourself in a boardroom. You see yourself on a stage. You see yourself, the truth. If you will listen, excuse me. Let me drink my tea, my throat. I've been talking. So this is for you. Let me quickly add this just for the question Mr. Peter is asking, right? We all have that internal GPS, that the version of us that we see in our mind, we see it, but it's not here. It's like that building, you see it in your mind. The key is, how do you close that gap? So for me, the Toyin here speaking to you is a version of Toyin that I saw years ago, but I was in corporate, right? I was on that desk doing that job. And I was like, Toyin, what are you doing here? There's more, right? I'm talking to myself. I remember I used to say something like, this is just a nest. You still need to go and fly, right? I used to talk to myself. I'm doing that job. I'm like, there's still more. There's something. You need to disrupt yourself. Now, you can wait to be disrupted or you disrupt yourself. That's what I mean. Is that you could be, whatever it is you're doing now, there's something inside you saying, good, but, wrap this thing up. Wrap this thing up. Wrap this thing up. We have another assignment for you. That's what I mean. But a lot of times, we don't listen or we don't know how to take those steps to arrive there. So the Toyin I'm seeing now is the Toyin I saw, and I've done everything I set out to do. I've hosted over 100 leading experts in government and business. We're now in our 5th year. I command the attention of the right people in my space. The who is who, the stakeholders that need to know I exist, now they know. They didn't know, I remember 5 or 6 years ago, I was having a conversation with the CEO of Walmart, like Africa, this, Africa, that. It was like, yeah. What, talk to, anyway. I went to government of a country, I won't mention it. I was like, do this. They weren't ready to listen to me. And I told myself, gosh, the version of Toyin that is coming at you next, you're not going to be able to say no to her. And I'm there now. Because I have an answer. And I know what you need. And I know the direction. Foreign aid versus foreign trade. Which one are you pursuing? If you want to grow your economy, listen to what I'm saying. 5, 6 years ago, they wouldn't listen to that version of Toyin. Today, I'm teaching them. Today, I'm coaching them. I'm serving as their advisor. So that's what I mean. Back then, I was like, Toyin needs to upgrade. For them to listen, I had the message. So here's what I'm also pointing out. You could have the message, but you have to be clear. Why are they not listening to you? There's something else you may need to do for your leaders to listen to the message you carry. So that's the work I help people shift in privately. So toyinyumesiri.com or email me info@toyinyumesiri.com. So again, this version of Toyin is the Toyin behind the work. Before I would share the work, I wouldn't share how I think. I wouldn't share the rules, my strategies. I wouldn't share my principles. I wouldn't share my perspective. I'll just share with you my platform. If you want this, show up. If you want training, show up. If you want entrepreneurship, show up. That's what I was asking before. But now, even after doing the work I'm saying I help other people do, is I believe that this Toyin is what needs to show up right now. A year from today, I might close this shop. I might close this shop and say, no, I'm closing access to me. I think I've done enough. Let's move on again. So that's how I listen to myself part time. A year ago, during the COVID-19, I showed up in a different dimension. I was training and coaching and doing certain things privately. Today, there's a new version of me because I use awareness. I'm aware of the way the world is, where the world is going, and saying, okay, I need to show up differently. A year from now, you might hear something else from Toyin, or you might say, Toyin, can you come? I need a time from you. I'm like, show me the ching-ching. Like my price will be 10 times, 10x. I know that. That's the way the world, you add on value. And this is what I'm saying you do for yourself. You add on value. Your value is going up, is going up, is going up because of your capacity. Right? That's it. So the people I could have showed up for 2-3 years ago, just free. No. We're not doing that anymore. Okay. We're not doing that anymore. You want this version of Toyin? And that's what I tell people. Your ability to negotiate, to command attention. You also, lastly, I know I've gone over my time because of Mr. Peter. I blame you. I'm kidding. Is making sure that you really, really articulate the value. And it's a science. You have to try so many times. It's not the first time you do it that you do it well. So it's a science project. I call it the science project. Okay. Thank you so much. And take care. If you want to hear now, if you have questions, drop it. I'll try to answer it tomorrow. Okay. Maybe that's what we need to do. That way, whatever I'm sharing is relevant to you. So if there are particular questions that you have, insights, drop. I always go back and look at what is being put out there. So if you're team replay, please also do that as well. See you guys tomorrow. Such an honor. I'm having a great time. At least I'm trying to. Take care now. Bye.